back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I am doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 book tag. I recently saw Alma do this tag, and I've seen some other people do this tag as well over the years, and just have never gotten around to it. But it's a really fun tag, a really quick little tag with just kind of, I guess, some information about my reading preferences and also my recent reads. The first question is for 5 recent 5-star reads. So my most recent 5-star read is My Antonia from Willa Cather, which I have not even talked about at all on my channel yet because I just finished it like a week ago. So that is my most recent 5-star read, and it is set in the Nebraska prairie with beautiful, beautiful nature writing. Not very much of a plot, but enough that I just really enjoyed it. As I'm looking at other 5-star reads from this year, a whole bunch of them have been rereads. So I'm gonna try to choose some other books that have not been rereads. One of those is Daniel Deronda, which, oh my gosh, I have talked about that book to death. I read that book in March. So I did like a long spoilery vlog on it. So I'll link that if you want to check that out for my thoughts on that. But oh my goodness, love that one so much. I also really loved The Labors of Hercules Beale by Gary D. Schmidt. This is an incredible middle grade. Oh my goodness, a new favorite. And it's been a few years since I have had a new favorite middle grade that I've read in middle grade March, but this one was just absolutely incredible. If you've read The Wednesday Wars by Gary D. Schmidt, you already know what he's capable of in terms of making you feel deeply. Every single one of his books that I've read, which is not very many so far, but every single one that I've read has made me both laugh and cry multiple times, and The Labors of Hercules Beale was no exception. Another recent 5-star read is A Sky of Paper Stars, which is a middle grade graphic novel about a young Korean American girl who feels like she doesn't fit in America, but then she ends up going back to Korea because her grandmother has passed away, so she goes back for the funeral and feels like she doesn't fit in there either. And it is just so beautifully done. Absolutely loved it. Apparently, to get another recent 5-star read that has not been a reread, I have to go all the way back to February with What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This was my first T. Kingfisher. I've since read 2 more of her works, and this is the only one that I've just absolutely adored. Like, my goodness, I loved it so much. It's a modern horror retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, which I absolutely love. I have such a soft spot in my heart for that particular short story because it was my favorite as a teenager. So my goodness, just loved it. The next question is for auto-buy authors, and I would assume auto-buy would mean an author that you would pre-order something from if they come out with something new. And there's not a whole lot of modern authors that I just love that much that I would be willing to pre-order books from them. I do have 3 of them, so I kind of was going back and forth with like, well, should I choose like classic authors that I absolutely love? But the ones that I would consider auto-buy authors, I actually own all of their works. So I'm just gonna go with 3 more modern auto-buy authors for me that I would put books on pre-order when they have come out with new books. Most obvious one is Brandon Sanderson, and I have pre-ordered his books before, and I will certainly be pre-ordering the newest Stormlight Archive book, which comes out in December, I believe. I actually haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I have plenty of time, and I am going to pre-order it so I get it the day that it comes out. I would also include a small indie writer in this list, and that's KB Hoyle. She writes YA and middle grade books, and she is currently writing under the umbrella of Owl's Nest Publishing, which is an indie pub house specifically focused on publishing middle grade and YA literature. Sorry, dogs are barking. Anyways, they publish YA and middle grade literature specifically that is very appropriate for those age groups, because I know maybe you've seen and noticed the trend lately of a lot of YA books that used to be geared more towards the teenage years now have content that's much more appropriate for like a new adult category with like older college age kind of things going on. That doesn't feel very appropriate, especially for the younger end of YA, like, you know, freshman and sophomore in high school kind of an age range. So their books are like so appropriate for YA going all the way down to like 14, 15. So I really love KB Hoyle's books. She's done some fairy tale retellings that I've absolutely loved. I actually did just buy her most recent release, which is Son of Bitter Glass, which is a retelling of The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen. And I love her middle grade book, Orion and the Starborn. And I just found out recently that book 2 in that trilogy is coming out this fall. So you better believe that as soon as pre-orders are open, I'm getting that. And I only have one more author, and this author's only written 2 books, and she doesn't come out with books very frequently. So I don't know when she's gonna write another book, but I really hope that she does, and that's Susanna Clarke. Within the last year, I have read both Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, as well as Piranesi, and loved them both so very much. And if she ever comes out with another book, I will pre-order it. It will be an auto-buy book for me because I just love her writing style and her exploration of like human nature and stuff as well. The next one is to name 3 favorite genres. So I was gonna say classics for one of them, but I feel like classics bridges such a wide range of time that I'm gonna be a little bit more specific, but still count it as one of my genres. So I love pretty much all classic literature really, but my favorite I guess I was gonna say genres, but they're not technically genres, time periods and stuff that I would choose is I love Victorian literature with an undying love. And then I also really, really love Russian literature as well. I'm also a pretty big fantasy fan. I would say that fantasy is my second most read genre, right underneath classics. And lastly, this is like a surprise to me, but I'm becoming a nonfiction girly. I really haven't been in the past. I've always wanted to be, and I'm just like hitting that stride in my life where I am so enjoying memoirs and biographies lately, in particular with nonfiction. I've always read a decent amount of like Christian nonfiction to help encourage me in my faith, but I've always wanted to read more historical nonfiction, particularly biographies. And I've read quite a few biographies and memoirs this year, and so I feel like that's becoming a new favorite genre for me. The next one is 2 favorite places to read. I think my #1 favorite place to read is my hammock. I finally got a hammock last year after having wanted one for so long, and I just love to lay in the sun and read. It's marvelous. I read all kinds of other places, but my second favorite place to read is my bed, and not just at bedtime. I love to just sit in my bed with a cup of coffee and read there, as well as, you know, I read them on the couch and chairs and other rooms, but man, there's just something about reading in bed. The last question is one book you promised to read really soon, and I'm going to say Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol. This ties in with my favorite genres because this is a Russian classic that I have had. My husband bought this for me years ago for Christmas, at least 2 years ago, maybe 3, and I still haven't read it yet. And I have wanted to read it, but just had a really hard time finding the right spot and time for it. So I'm reading it in June, and I'm reading it with my friend Penny, and I can't wait to finally read this. Well, that is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 book tag. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below if you want to answer any of these questions. I do always have the questions linked in the description, so that way if there's any that are particularly interesting that you want to share answers to, I would absolutely love to hear them. And if you have not yet done this tag and you have a booktube channel, consider yourself tagged, and I would love to see what answers you have. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.